What is up, everybody? This is our part 11 of Let's Play Metroid Dread. Sorry, I'm talking and typing at the same time. I have to reset the YouTube parameters for every single stream. I think there's a way around that, but I haven't figured it out, and I'm not going to figure it out tonight. So part 11, I am hoping to be the last part. I'm not hoping because I did not like the game. I'm hoping because we are on the final boss, and I don't envision myself having a fun time fighting him for 2 hours. I think we're pretty close. It might take a couple of warm-up runs, but my goal is to take him down. I think we'll close out the game, and then we will play some just pick up matches on Left 4 Dead tonight. That's the plan. And then I think next week we're going to hop into Back 4 Blood on Game Pass for PC, which I have been playing off stream. I don't know how many hours I put in, but I definitely played that off stream for about a week after launch. And then after I beat it on Recruit, which is the easiest difficulty, I set it down. I did try on Veteran a couple of levels, and I think I beat the first couple of levels, and then I set it down. I was kind of at the point where I felt like I needed to have a squad of people on the mic to actually play and for it to be fun. So alright, we're just gonna do a sound check on Twitch real fast. Let me know if anything sounds off to you. I have been adjusting the mic and game sound a lot lately. Set. No drop frames tonight, that's good. Okay, I think we're all set up, ready to go. I think this is the earliest I've ever started a stream. 9:34 to be officially like starting gameplay. That's pretty darn good, I think. Pretty good. All right. So last night we started fighting Ravenbeak, who is the final boss, and we got past his shield phase. We got past the, and no, I'm not going to be doing elevator music tonight. That's just not gonna happen. There's too many trips up this elevator. We got past the shield, and then I think we got pretty close to taking him down in the second phase. I don't know if there's a third phase or not. At me. Ow. I should never be taking those hits. I think if I had used the missiles, I probably could have gotten him to that second phase. Really? Okay, there we go. So another thing that was a big issue last time was my missile accuracy. I just was not hitting him. Yeah, I cannot get hit by that either. Really? Ow. Okay, we've never gotten to the third phase. This is the first time. First attempt. What is he gonna do? Ooh, he tears off his other wing. Alright. Levels the playing field, huh? What is this? What is happening? Oh boy. Oh boy. I got no health. Oh man. Okay, I have to go into that last phase with way more health. Progress though. I was not expecting to get that far on my first attempt. My first attempt on this episode, that is. There. I don't know what, I'm distracted, sorry. Oh, come on. That pixel perfect hit. still not orange? My goodness, dude. No. I don't know what I am doing right now. I guess I'm like totally baffled that he hasn't moved on from this phase yet. Okay. Oh, stop it. Stop it. What? There we go, okay. So I think if I just pummel him with missiles, that it... This is not going how I wanted it to go. Ow. Ow. I think I just completely screwed up this run because of those mistakes. There we go. Okay. Okay, I do need to pause though. My wife asked me to charge her phone. Okay. I dodged and I missed an opportunity to... Whoa, okay. Whoa, okay. Ouch. Ouch. Ah. I made so many mistakes at the end of the second phase. Okay, so can you flash shift through his flash shift? That blue dash that he does? Because that seems like the easiest thing to do if you can, but if you can't, then you have to jump up. go orange that time. Uh-oh. Stupid double jump. I hate it. I hate it. Hate it. Trash mechanic. Trash mechanic alert. Whoa, okay, I almost got hit by that. You should be almost dead. There we go, okay. Okay, get a little bit of health back, get some missiles. Ah! Ow, ow, ow. Okay. Ouch, dude. Holy moly, dude. Firing here. Do I have to dodge something? Ah, no. Did I get him? Did I get him? Did I get him? Because you absorbed it already? Why? Tell me why. Whoa, what? But I fought so many times. Is this a juke? Is she juking? Do I need to fight him or something? Or I don't know if I'm supposed to do anything. I'm just gonna press missiles until I'm sure that we've won. Is that her yelling? It sounds corny. I'm still pressing. Still pressing. Okay, I think I can stop. That was a good fight. I was so worried when I did not get the parry on that final phase that I just wasn't gonna have enough health. Whoa, her suit looks different. Oh no, is this another phase? Oh my goodness. Uh-oh. Oh boy. Wait. Wait. No. Don't tell. Okay. Whew. So what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to... Looks like I'm supposed to charge... Oh, I see. Okay. Can you imagine if there's like a hard mode and you have to do the first 3 phases and then do this too? Like if there was a whole battle with him as the X form or whatever. Oh, we don't have... Oh, dang, okay. I don't have my flash shift though. Are we supposed to go up, or what's supposed to happen here? Oh, there's a little... Okay, so just break through the door. Okay. Wait, where's the ship? Oh, that's a long way to go. Okay, so we have a ways to go here. Don't mind me while I just go into my morph ball form here. This is so cool. This is awesome. I love when games do stuff like this. Okay, so we're not supposed to go this way. We're supposed to go this way, or what? Wait, what am I doing wrong here? Like 16%. So do I go down or sealed door? Okay, let's try this again because maybe I didn't do it right. No, it doesn't seem like that's the direction we go. So let's just go this way. This way. Was this accessible before? It looks like it was. I never came here, I guess. I am running out of time. That's the door I've never been able to get past. The ship is supposed to be like right here, isn't it? 38 seconds. Oh man. Where's my ship? Where's my ship? We made it.
You drain the ship of its energy.
Wait, I thought he got taken over by an X, didn't he? Meanwhile, the whole thing explodes. Oh, was that like him still sort of in control of his body? Like, helping us? Trying to help us? Oh, man. Alright, so... let's talk. Let's talk. So, first of all, phenomenal ending. Phenomenal. The boss fight, number one, fantastic. The final boss fight, fantastic. Challenging, but fair. All of his moves are learnable. None of them are cheap. The only thing that I struggled with, and I struggled with this through the whole game, was the double jump. Just the fact that you have to time it at a specific moment. I got hit. I took a lot of damage because of that. If I was able to just double jump whenever I wanted, that probably would have been a breeze for me. So, you know, given what the game gave us, which was that specific type of double jump. I'm going to turn down the music a little bit, just so I'm not competing with the game audio here. That, given what the game gave us, that was a challenging but fair fight, which is what you want from a final boss. It's learnable. I think that's the best way to say it, is it's learnable, hard. It's learnable but hard. That escape sequence at the end, I love that they didn't just end with the boss, that they had that whole escape sequence where you got that sort of that overpowered laser beam thing and you could just destroy everything in your path and get to the ship. Like, that was really cool. I like that there was that, I don't know what character he is. I don't remember his name, but he comes there, he's like, I think that was supposed to be him, because he got taken over by the X, right? But then I think that was him. He had basically, like, through his own willpower, had crawled his way to your ship, and, like, with his dying breath, basically, well, he was killed, but I guess his consciousness lived on through being reincarnated through the X or whatever was going on there. I don't really know what was going on, but that his will sort of overpowered the X for just a short period and allowed him to, like, basically send the X power to her, which somehow that canceled the energy that she had, because what it seemed like happened was she had this burst of energy that took down Ravenbeak, but then that burst of energy seemed to be what the Adam warned about, which was that her DNA was, the control was going to happen, right? That the X was taking control of her. So it seemed like that's what happened. That's why she got all OP at the end. And then I guess it was the X. I might be using the wrong terms, but the floaty ball of red energy that came out and then basically, like, canceled her overpoweredness and sent her back to normal Samus. Like, that, whatever happened there, she went back to normal and then was able to fly away. So I probably sound like a moron saying what I'm saying, because I have no outside of the little lore that they gave at the beginning of the game, I have no experience with the Metroid series, the franchise at all. I've never played any of the games. I've played like 20 minutes of Metroid on the Nintendo Switch emulator on the online Nintendo Switch Online thing, and the controls were so terrible that I just put it down. I've never played any of the Prime games. I know that there are many games in the series, but I've never played them. So, like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I just know what was presented to me in this game, and I think it made a decent amount of sense. To be honest, at the very beginning, I was kind of rushing the. I don't want to say I was rushing through the lore, but I was like eager to get going with the game because I was just wanted to get to the gameplay. So I probably missed some things. I know they did try to explain like the Metroid DNA and the X and Ravenbeak and like the species of people on the planet and all that, but I think I only like half absorbed that stuff. So the ending probably would have made more sense if... Oh, is this a post-credit scene? Clear time, 9 hours, 54 minutes. Almost 55 minutes. See you next mission. Nice. So yeah, I liked the lore, I guess, that they presented. The story was at least somewhat interesting. It was a little bit kind of, like generic bad guy trying to take over the universe or whatever, but it was the way like the DNA interacted with her and how that interfaces with how that's integrated in with your abilities and then getting OP at the end and all that. I thought that was all kind of cool. But overall, I guess thoughts on the game. Oh, are these screenshots from, or cover art maybe, from Metroid Zero Mission, one of the older games? I don't know, if I click A, does it go to like another, more cover art, or just, oh, okay. Oh, hard mode unlocked. Alright. So does that mean if I was to, I'm not going to play obviously, but I'm just curious if I do this. Okay, so you play it on a new, there's not like a new game plus. Okay. So interestingly, this says 9 hours and 18 minutes, but the end screen said it was 9 hours and 54 minutes. So that's a 36-minute discrepancy. So I wonder where that came from. It didn't take us 36 minutes to beat the boss, escape, and watch the cutscene, I don't think. I think that only took about 15 minutes. So I don't know, whatever. Either way, that's a solid amount of time. I think most Metroidvanias I've played have ended in between like the 8 and 12 hour mark. Except for Hollow Knight, which is like that's easily a 20 to 30 hour game, depending on how much stuff you try to find, how many extra bosses you do and stuff. So we can do a little bit of a Metroidvania comparison in a minute, but I think for this game, just talking about this game as its own package, was phenomenal. I mean, this was a top shelf Metroidvania. I know it's silly to say that because obviously, like, the term Metroidvania, half of that comes from the Metroid games, and this is a Metroid game, so that's not lost on me. But since we're talking about that within the genre, it is a phenomenal Metroidvania game. When you pit it up against any Metroidvania games that have come out since, I think this holds its own. So I'm not coming at it, like I said already, I'm not coming at this as someone that has experience with the franchise. So I'm really judging this as a standalone game. And um, so hopefully that gives me some unique perspective that you find at least somewhat interesting. Um, if you don't, the rest of the video is just going to be me talking about the game and then doing a little bit of comparison to some other Metroidvanias organically in the process. So if you're not interested in my thoughts on that, just close the video and go find another video in my playlist from a different game or something. But this is the end, so I want to spend some time talking about it, giving my thoughts on the game. So graphical style, I loved the actual level design. Like I loved the environments. The map took a little bit of getting used to. And I've got to say, for me personally, Metroidvania games can oftentimes live or die by their map system. Map/fast travel. This game's map at first felt very cluttered to me. There were a lot of different colors on the map, even within a single zone. There were lots of item markers. Some of them had question marks. Other ones didn't have question marks, depending on whether you discovered what the item was or not. One thing, it was based on the color brightness. It was very difficult to tell if you had picked up an item or not. Like I had to continually go flash my cursor over an item to see if I had picked it up or not. It was not always clear. Like it doesn't blink or anything if you haven't found it. It's just slightly brighter than if you have found it. So that's something that maybe they could improve on a little bit. Like with a small patch, they could fix that. So that's a really, really nitpicky complaint. Once the game got a little bigger, right, and I got to a few different zones and I kind of got used to the way the map was, it didn't feel as cluttered anymore. But the map is clear. I do appreciate that. The walls and where you fit within each room is very clear, as opposed to a game like Hollow Knight where the zones oftentimes feel they feel only loosely related to where you are on the map. Like there's a lot of curved surfaces and things that are a little bit harder to define on a map. This game's all rectangular, right? Every area is rectangular or square, so you can tell exactly where the end of a room is and where the start of a room is and where the ceiling is, where the ground is. I like the way that they did the secrets with the flashing white. I can promise you that if they didn't do that, I probably would have found none of those things. Maybe one or two by accident, but I would have found none of them. And I do know from listening to the community on this a little bit that people did complain at how kind of arcane some of the secrets were in the originals. And so it seems like this was a kind of a response to feedback on that. So I'm sure those people appreciate it a lot, and I appreciate it as as someone that's treating this as a standalone game. I thought the fact that they kind of gave you some of the secrets that way was good, and then the other things that was just to get secret items, right? That didn't tell you where you had to go. You still had to figure that out. And that leads me to, I guess, to my next point, and this is a big praise of the game, is that the way that they designed the flow of the game, to me, had a big pro and a big con, and I'll try to do my best to explain what those are. So the pro to the way that they did the level design was that it was very well, they did a very good job balancing guiding the player, guiding me to the next thing, while also giving me freedom and still some mystery about what was next. There were some small areas where it was like where you would try to backtrack and all the doors would be closed off, and it was clear that you had to go to the next thing. And if you couldn't figure out where the next thing is, you knew that, oh, okay, I just haven't figured out where the next thing is, but I know it's really close by. Stuff like that. They sprinkled that throughout the game to kind of keep you going so that you wouldn't get stuck in this big world. Like, this was a big world. There were, 8 or 9 different zones. Several of them were pretty large. So they did a good job balancing that. It wasn't too linear, and it wasn't too loose, right? They didn't give you too much freedom. One thing I don't like in games is when you have to basically go to a wiki for everything to know where you need to go. Like, I don't like having to do that, and I just don't have the time to spend 3 hours trying to find what to do next. The time or the patience, honestly. So I thought they did a really good job balancing that. And what was cool was how it kind of wove you through the various different zones. You'd go to one zone, go to another zone, then way down the line, a new upgrade would have you loop back around to an old zone. So they had you revisiting areas, but not in a way that felt repetitive or difficult to get to. And in a very classic Metroidvania fashion, you go back to an old zone with a new ability, and you unlock an area based on that new ability. So they did really well with that. The one I mentioned there was a pro and a con. All that was kind of in the pro category. The con category, and this one is not. This one is more of more of a subjective, like personal criticism. And I don't even know if this is a criticism, more of just a comment, I guess. Because of the way that they guided you and kind of wove you through the maps, the locations of the bosses and the upgrades were not memorable. Meaning their context on the map and where they were located specifically on the map were not memorable. Even if you ask me right now, after just having finished the playthrough, if you showed me a completely revealed map with no markers on it, I wouldn't be able to tell you where any of the bosses were. And I think maybe that's a little bit of a byproduct of the map being kind of rectangular, is that every room looks kind of samey, right? Because it's all just a bunch of rectangles put together. So in that sense, the game was memorable. The boss fights were memorable. The abilities were memorable. The image of the Chozo statue with the ball was memorable. But where they were was not. And I think probably the best way to illustrate this by example is Hollow Knight. And I keep mentioning Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight is my favorite Metroidvania of all time. I think it's probably the best Metroidvania of all time. It's one of my top 10 games of all time. One thing Hollow Knight does brilliantly that no other Metroidvania game I've played has done quite like it, except maybe a game called Sundered, is how it guides you to, how it opens up your need. You find out that you need an upgrade for something, right? And you need to do a traversal ability, like let's say a wall climb or a dash or something. The game will give you a very difficult platforming challenge, specifically talking about Hollow Knight. It'll give you a very difficult either combat or platforming challenge that leads up to that new ability. And then the new ability itself is located in an area that has a unique graphical style. And a specific example of that would be the Crystal Heart. The Crystal Heart ability in Hollow Knight, you have to you're in these mines with these, everything is kind of grayscale, except for these purplish kind of pink crystals that are hanging off the wall everywhere that are getting mined by the different bugs. And you have to platform your way across this really difficult set of platforms and crystals falling from the sky and conveyor belts and stuff. A really long kind of linear horizontal section of the map. And at the very end, you get to this big black mound, and inside is the crystal heart. And you pick it up, and that ability lets you, basically it gives you sort of like a jetpack, right? It allows you to jet horizontally indefinitely until you hit a wall. And so when you get that ability, you use it, and the tutorial is sending you all the way back to where you started the platforming challenge, right? So you get to go back over what the really hard thing that you just did to get that ability. So I will never forget the crystal heart because of that thing that I had to do to earn it. And there's other things like that, like the monarch wings, for example. Like you have to go defeat. I don't offhand remember the name of the boss, but I remember the boss fight. It's a corrupted knight. And then after him is the monarch wings, and you use the monarch wings then to get to a different section. And there's a lot of different things like that. There's one thing is there's a lot less traversal abilities in Hollow Knight than in this game. This game had, what was it, like 9 different things, right? There were like 3 different laser beam upgrades. There was multiple bombs. There was morph ball. There was the double jump. There was the power bomb. There were a lot of different, the dash that had its own couple of different sub mechanics within it. So this was all that to say that this game didn't really have any of those like memorable challenges that led up to an ability, right? About half the abilities that you get, you just kind of stumble across by wandering through random areas with kind of random average difficulty mobs without any really difficult platforming or anything like that. And you just get an ability. So you're rewarded without much of a challenge before it. So it's sort of like, it's like the difference between being treated to lunch at the end of a difficult half day of work, as opposed to being treated to dinner at the end of a full day's work. Like there's just a little bit difference in the sense of reward. But that isn't. I think, like I said before, this is more of a subjective thing, because I think some people will just appreciate having the abilities kind of showered on them, and that's fine, right? That's no problem at all. But for me, I think I would have appreciated if there had been some more memorable challenges leading up to some of those abilities. And you did have to like take out a boss, and you'd get an ability from the boss directly. Like if you killed an Emmy or one of the main bosses, you'd get something for most of them. But it wasn't like, oh yeah, I remember I got this thing from that boss. Like I couldn't even tell you where I got half the abilities I got. Just because where they got them and when in the flow of the game I got them just didn't feel all that important or unique. So in that sense, I can pretty safely conclude for myself that this did not displace my favorite Metroidvania game, but it did, I think, shoot to the top few because of how well designed it was and how fun it was. And I'm actually kind of glad that this game didn't have a huge focus on platforming, because platforming tends to be a very frustrating thing for me when it gets difficult, especially if the platforming is difficult and it uses a mechanic that I find frustrating. And The double jump is frustrating. Can you imagine if there had been platforming challenges using the double jump, like a spike room that was like shaped in a sawtooth pattern or something like that? I would have died trying to do that. Literally in the game, died trying to do that many times. Would have been very frustrated. It wouldn't have been fun for me. It would have sucked all the fun out of it. So I'm actually glad that the challenge of the game was more reserved for the boss fights and the Emmys and the mini bosses rather than the random exploration and rooms with the mobs and stuff. Occasionally there would be like little minorly difficult mobs. Most of those you could just parry and kill instantly. So once you got decent at the parry, which I think I got pretty decent at the parry by the end of the game, it does make the game a lot easier. If you suck with that, I can imagine that there are, especially once the X's take over, once you kind of pass that transition in the game where the X's take over all the enemies, that you may struggle a little bit with the combat in the second half. I guess that was roughly the second half of the game. But overall, the enemies are not very hard. And it's the fun, and it really comes more from just exploring and getting all these new abilities and then trying them out in new zones. That's really where the fun comes. And then the challenge is from the boss fights and fighting the Emmys, which I guess you could call it, they're sort of like a subcategory of bosses. So I'm not going to give the game a number like, 8 out of 10 or whatever. This was a very good game. I had a lot of fun with it. Very happy I played it. I don't know if I'll do the hard mode. I don't know what's actually different about the hard mode. Do any of you guys know what is different? Mayubi mentioned like a week ago that he had already gotten to the hard mode, and I don't remember if he said if there were, like, what the differences were. It might just be, like, more health on the enemies. Maybe there's less health upgrades or something. I don't know. One thing, now that I've beaten it and I can't be spoiled anymore, one thing I will do is watch some speed runs of this game. Because I'm very curious to see what kind of sequence breaks there are. We were straight shooting in this game. Like, I did not try to do any kind of fancy schmancy stuff. We just went where the game told us to go. But I can imagine that there's probably some crazy, like, pixel perfect jumps and slides and stuff that you can do to skip certain sections and potentially save hours off of the time. So I'd be curious to know, actually, right now, if I look up world record speed run for this game, what the time is. So, sorry, this microphone is always in the way when I try to type. So, world record speed run, Metroid Dread. So it's from 4 days ago. There is a world record, probably any percent, I would guess. That is an hour and 23, almost hour and 24 minutes. The previous from that was a any percent speed run from a week ago at an hour and 26 minutes. So that's an hour and 26 minutes of, like, video time, not the in-game timer, this 9 minutes and 18 seconds that you see on the screen right here. For our stream, so for our playthrough, if you go and add up all the time, it's much longer than 9 hours. I think it ended up being about, we spent about 45 minutes or so. No, I think it was more like half an hour playing it tonight. And then if we add up the other, I'm just going to do some quick math. So about 3 hours, so 3.5, 5.5, 7:45, 9, 11:15, 12:45, 13:45, 14:15, 15 hours. One of those, I think we did a discussion segment for like half of it. So I think it was about 14 to 14 and a half hours of gameplay time, like stream time playing the game. So they're saying they did it in an hour and a half, basically, which is about a tenth of what I did. So that's pretty impressive that when the game's only been out for 20 days, that they're already completing it in a tenth of the amount of time that we took on this channel. That's pretty cool. So I'll definitely check that out. I like watching speedruns of Metroidvanias. It's always really fascinating. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream, and I have to break down my setup. Not completely, but I have to switch a couple of cables and set up my PC so that we can play some Left 4 Dead. I shouldn't take more than like 3 minutes or so, so stick around. We'll be back in... Actually, I'm not going to disconnect from Twitch. I'm just going to stop on YouTube. I'm going to pause on YouTube so that we can cut the video and our Metroid Dread series, and then we'll start a new Left 4 Dead series. So if you're on Twitch, hang around. You're still with me. If you're on YouTube, I'll be back in about 3 minutes.